Have you ever felt like you are living like a trouble magnet? Does it feel like negative energies are chasing you, that the people around you drain your peace, and that, no matter how hard you try, chaos always finds a way to get to you? Maybe you've even asked yourself, why does this only happen to me? The good news is that it doesn't have to be this way. There is a powerful technique based on the discoveries of JACOBO GRINBERG that can completely change the way you face adversities in life. And here's a secret that few tell you. The problem isn't in the world around you, but in the way you react to it. Yes, it's counterintuitive, but it's your perception that defines the impact of things. And when you master this, nothing, absolutely nothing, hits you. But wait, we're not talking about isolating yourself or simply thinking positive. This goes much further here. This technique not only protects you from external emotional storms, but also transforms the most challenging interactions into opportunities for growth. It's like an invisible shield that keeps your energy intact without you having to fight, run away, or cancel yourself out. And the best part? You don't have to be a monk or live isolated on top of a mountain to put this into practice. At each step of this journey, you will discover how small internal changes can create a fortress of peace around you. Are you ready to understand why no one taught you this before and how this technique can permanently transform your life? JACOBO GRINBERG invites us to explore something surprising. The world we see outside is, in fact, a direct reflection of what is inside us. Does it seem complicated? Imagine that you wake up in the morning, drink a coffee, and leave the house in a great mood. On that day, everything seems more beautiful. The colors are more vibrant. The people seem friendlier. Even the traffic seems less chaotic. Now, think about the opposite. A day when you wake up grumpy, everything seems gray, people irritate you, and the smallest setback turns into a big problem. This is a clear example of how our perception is not a neutral window onto the world, but rather a projection of our internal state. JACOBO GRINBERG helps us understand that to change what we perceive outside, we first need to observe what is happening inside. When we realize this, we begin to understand why some situations or people affect us so much. It's not that the outside world is intrinsically negative, but sometimes we carry emotions within us that amplify these external experiences. Think about someone who constantly complains that people are toxic. It's possible that this perception comes from a place of hurt or internal insecurity, which distorts the way she sees others. A simple exercise is to keep an emotional diary. Before pointing the finger outward, ask yourself, what inside me is amplifying this feeling? This practice can reveal powerful surprises about how you relate to the world. GRINBERG also suggests something fascinating. What we perceive can not only reflect but also amplify our own internal states. It's as if the energy around us is an echo, a return of what we emit. This explains why calmer people generally attract more harmonious situations, while those who are always stressed seem to attract chaos. A practical example? Remember that person at work who turns every problem into a gigantic crisis? Most of the time, the problem is less about what is happening and more about how she reacts. This idea shows us that by adjusting our internal vibration, we can begin to shape the type of energy that comes back to us. Another practical lesson comes from GRINBERG himself. The negative energy of others can feel overwhelming, but only if we allow ourselves to be permeable to it. Think of yourself as a mirror. When someone tries to project negativity onto you, instead of absorbing that energy, reflect it back. This does not mean giving back in kind, but rather recognizing that it belongs to the other person, not you. A good exercise for this is conscious breathing. When you feel a wave of negativity approaching, stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and mentally repeat, "This isn't mine." It seems simple, but it works like an energy shield. What makes this insight even more fascinating is how it opens us to a new level of responsibility. When we understand that we project our reality, we begin to take control of our emotions and reactions. But that's not the end of the story. The real power is in recognizing that often what we perceive as negative in others is actually a mirror of something that is latent within ourselves. Then yes, the journey starts to get really interesting. JACOBO GRINBERG challenges us to reflect on something provocative. The energies we feel from other people are not just about them. They often serve as mirrors that reveal aspects of ourselves that we would prefer to ignore. Imagine, for example, being in an environment where an irritable person awakens their own irritation. Is it just her attitude that bothers you, or is there something in you that resonates with this frequency? It is here that Grinberg introduces the idea of the mirror, this symbolic reflection that points to latent, often ignored emotions. This realization can be uncomfortable, but it is also a powerful key to self-knowledge. What if, instead of impulsively reacting to these negative energies, we decided to investigate them? Think of a time when you felt almost automatic anger when dealing with someone who was critical or harsh. Is this person really wrong? Or has they somehow activated an old wound in you that has never been properly healed? An interesting practice is to use situations like these for self-investigation. The next time something or someone triggers you, try asking, why does this bother me so much? What does this say about me? Writing your reflections in a journal can be a practical and revealing way to uncover these answers. This idea that the negativity of others can be a reflection of our own shadow also teaches us not to blame the world for our feelings. For example, imagine someone who often complains that the people around them are selfish. It is possible that on some level, this person is projecting their own internal struggle with selfishness, perhaps out of shame or difficulty recognizing this characteristic within themselves. Grinberg suggests that instead of blaming others, we can look inward with courage and honesty, turning these uncomfortable interactions into opportunities for growth. Now, this doesn't mean accepting everything passively. The reflection is not a justification for tolerating toxic behavior, but an invitation to adjust our internal lenses. Think about how a therapist observes a patient, with empathy, but without absorbing the patient's emotions. Grinberg proposes that we can do the same in everyday life. A powerful exercise is to imagine an energetic mirror. When you feel like someone's negativity is about to get to you, visualize a bright mirror between you and that person. This mirror reflects energy back without you absorbing it, protecting your own vibration. The most fascinating thing about this perspective is how it redefines our interactions. By understanding that what bothers us about others can be connected to us, we develop a deeper sense of compassion and responsibility. And it is exactly at this point that Grinberg takes us to the next step, the importance of being a firm rock, which maintains your emotional stability even in the midst of turbulence. After all, how can we navigate the reflection without getting lost in the process? The power of presence, as JACOBO Grinberg teaches us, is like the anchor of a boat in the middle of a storm. It keeps you steady no matter how turbulent the environment. In a world where negative emotions and chaos seem to lurk around every corner, the practice of being fully present is an almost revolutionary skill. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed by a problem that wasn't even directly yours, perhaps a disagreement at work or the emotional drama of someone close to you. What would happen if, instead of being swept away by this wave, you stopped, took a deep breath, and simply observed? This is the essence of presence. Not reacting automatically, but becoming a conscious observer of what happens around you. Grinberg suggests that being present is not just a matter of self-control, but of deeply connecting with the now. A practical way to exercise this is to set aside 5 minutes of your day for a practice called mindful pausing. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and notice the sounds, smells, and sensations around you. Don't try to change anything, just notice. This simple practice, although it may seem insignificant, is a powerful training to strengthen your ability to be present when moments of real turbulence arrive. After all, how can you weather an outdoor storm if you can't remain calm during a light breeze? Presence also helps us create a safe space within ourselves, a kind of neutral zone that is unaffected by the emotions of others. Think of a friend who always seems to be a safe haven, someone who doesn't shake even when everyone around them is losing their minds. This friend has probably developed the ability to observe without absorbing. You can cultivate the same in yourself, especially in conflict situations. For example, when dealing with an aggressive person, instead of reacting in the same tone, Try breathing deeply and responding calmly and firmly. This not only disarms the other, but also strengthens your own emotional stability. Grinberg also reminds us that presence is not something that can be achieved all at once. It is an ongoing practice. Imagine yourself as a gardener tending a delicate plant. Every day, you need to water, prune, and protect this plant from the elements. Likewise, presence requires daily attention. It can be something as simple as eating a meal without distractions, feeling the flavor and texture of each bite, or walk outside for a few minutes, paying attention to the sound of your footsteps and the feeling of the wind on your face. It's these moments that strengthen your ability to stand firm when big emotional storms arise. And perhaps the most powerful aspect of presence is how it transforms us into living examples for others. When you practice calmness and mindfulness, those around you begin to feel this energy too. It's as if a steady presence inspires people to find their own inner calm. But there is a secret. This practice is not about perfection, but about consistency. And once you master this internal anchor, the natural next step is to understand how to respond to the emotions of others with compassion without sacrificing your own peace. JACOBO GRINBERG teaches us that compassion does not need to be synonymous with sacrifice. In fact, there is a subtle but essential balance between helping others and protecting your own peace. Imagine how liberating it would be to be able to offer support to someone without feeling like you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. When we understand that other people's negative emotions reflect their own internal struggles, we can offer genuine compassion, but with clear boundaries. Think about a day when you had to comfort a friend in trouble. Is it possible to be present and understanding without absorbing his energy? The key is to recognize that your empathy is an act of generosity, not an obligation that demands your life energy. Practicing compassion with healthy boundaries is like wearing a life jacket when trying to rescue someone who is drowning. Without the vest, both are at risk of being swept away by the waves. Grinberg suggests the first step is recognizing how far you can go without compromising your stability. A practical example: when you hear someone constantly rant, try setting a limit. I'm here for you, but today I can only talk for 30 minutes because I need to take care of some important things. This is not selfish, but a way to keep your energy balanced while still offering support. This approach respects both you and the other person. When we respond with compassion, something magical happens. We disarm negativity without having to confront it directly. Grinberg explains that by looking beyond someone's anger or sadness, we can see the pain behind those emotions. This doesn't mean we should justify toxic behavior, but it does mean we can choose not to react aggressively. A powerful exercise is to remind yourself that everyone is fighting invisible internal battles. For example, when dealing with an angry coworker, rather than reacting in kind, try thinking, he could be experiencing something I don't know about. A calm response, like a simple, I understand you're frustrated. How can I help? Can completely change the tone of the interaction. Grinberg also reminds us that compassion doesn't have to be verbal. It can be demonstrated in subtle actions. Something as simple as a kind gesture, like offering a coffee or leaving an encouraging note, can convey your empathy without you needing to be deeply involved. These small acts may seem insignificant, but they have the power to create positive energy around you. At the same time, it is essential to monitor your own limits. If you notice that you are feeling drained, it is a sign that you need to step back and recharge your energy. Finally, the true art of balancing compassion and self-care prepares us for something even more transformative: the ability to interact with the world without instinctively reacting to tension or conflict. This is where inner peace is strengthened, allowing us to transform even the most difficult interactions into opportunities for growth. After all, how can we begin to change these dynamics rather than being shaped by them? This is the next stage of this journey. Transforming interactions may seem like a challenging task, but JACOBO GRINBERG reminds us that by changing the way we react, we can completely alter the dynamics of any situation. Think about that time when someone tried to provoke you, perhaps with a criticism or a mean comment. The instinctive reaction would be to defend yourself or return in kind, right? But what would happen if you simply paused, took a breath, and chose not to react? This choice, although subtle, can be a real revolution. Grinberg suggests that transformation begins when we understand that external tension only stays alive as long as we feed it with our own responses. A practical example of this is when we come across someone who insists on arguing. Instead of playing along, we can defuse the situation with an unexpected response, such as a smile or a neutral phrase. "I see your point of view. Thanks for sharing." This type of attitude is not a sign of weakness, but of emotional control. When we stop resisting, we take the power out of conflict and create a space where harmony can emerge. This, not reacting, does not mean passivity, but a conscious choice to act wisely. And yes, it takes practice, but the results can be transformative. Grinberg also highlights that this approach has the power to strengthen our inner calm. Imagine a sailor on a boat. When the waves get stronger, he doesn't fight them. Instead, it adjusts the sails to sail with the wind. Similarly, when we stop reacting with resistance to challenging people and situations, we become more resilient. A simple exercise to practice this is the 5-second pause. Before responding to something that provokes a strong emotion, count to 5 and ask yourself, will this reaction improve the situation or just fuel the conflict? This little break can make all the difference. Another fascinating aspect of this transformation is how it affects the people around us. When we choose calm over confrontation, we serve as a mirror for others to reevaluate their actions as well. Imagine a heated argument where one party suddenly decides to tone it down and offer a constructive solution. The conflict is likely to diminish and provide space for more productive dialogue. Grinberg invites us to be that balancing force, even in situations where chaos seems inevitable. This not only improves our interactions, but also inspires positive change in others. In the end, transforming interactions is less about changing others and more about changing ourselves. By developing this skill, we begin to see how small adjustments in the way we respond can create ripples of impact in all areas of life. And that's where the magic really happens. As we strengthen our inner calm and learn to deal with challenges consciously, we prepare ourselves to take these teachings to an even deeper level. After all, true transformation begins within us. Now that you know this powerful technique and the teachings of JACOBO GRINBERG, the question remains, what are you going to do with all this? Will you continue to allow negative energies and external turmoil to dominate your day? Or are you ready to take the next step and take control of your inner peace? The decision is yours. But remember, knowledge without action is like a map kept in a drawer. It leads nowhere. So, start right now. Set aside a moment in your day to practice mindful pausing. Observe how you react to situations and notice what can be adjusted. Transform your interactions. Choose to be a calming presence and watch as magic happens around you. You don't need to change everything at once. Small actions already create big impacts. And here's the challenge. Share in the comments which of these practices you will start implementing today. Who knows, maybe your experience will inspire other people too. Finally, if you want to continue on this journey of transformation and learn even more techniques to protect your energy and live fully, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Activate the bell to receive notifications and ensure you don't miss any new content. Together, we can build a life where nothing touches you and everything turns in your favor. What are you waiting for? The change starts now.